Hello, lacrosse friends. Welcome once again to Lacrosse Link, your link to all things lacrosse. We have a great episode for you this week. Interviews with Mitch de Snoo, star defender of the red-hot Toronto Rock, and with the GM and once again co-coach of the Saskatchewan Rush for the remainder of this season, Derek Keenan. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember to stick around for the rundown where we will hit on some key things that you need to know from the world of lacrosse. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host, Steven Stamp. Enjoy the show.
Beautiful play, Aaron Gray Eyes. He is having himself a tournament. He made the save regardless of the crease call, and that shows he is at his acrobatic. In the middle, it just bounces off, but it's picked up and scored.
For the biggest, that's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
Joining us on Lacrosse Link is Mitch de Snoo of the Toronto Rock. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
It's, you come over to the team this year and it looked to me like the Rock gelled fairly quickly, but it's really improved. I mean, you're now leading the East in goals against per game as a defense, and you've only given up more than 10 goals in a game once since the middle of January. That's 10 games. 9 of them giving up 10 or fewer goals, including a handful of games of like 5, 6, 7 goals. So what do you think has happened does it feel to you like the team is really coming together and playing your best as a defensive unit in the last couple of months?
Yeah, I do agree with that for sure. I mean, that's something that we try and pride ourselves on, is to be the best defensive unit that we can be. And I mean, that starts with Rosie making key saves for us. And I think we got a very athletic, cohesive unit that works well together. We have the ability to get out and pressure teams that some other teams don't do the same things on defense. And yeah, it took, I mean, for me personally, I know I'd say it took a little while to get used to playing the systems that we had and playing with the guys here in Toronto. But yeah, I think it's really come together well.
There's a handful of new guys in the team this year from trades like yourself, and then some guys, just some young guys who have come in, the Phil Mazukas and that sort. And it just feels like you can see the team growing really comfortable, which obviously is not a great thing for other teams, but you guys must feel, it looks like you must feel like you're pretty comfortable having guys come in and out of the lineup as necessary.
Yeah, I mean, we've been really deep this year, and we've needed to rely on it. Like this weekend, we had some stuff going on where our guys were not able to play for various different reasons, and just sort of that next man up attitude, and we try and get everybody their reps in practice so that they're ready to go when the number gets called. And everybody has been very impressive so far when they've had the chance.
The other thing, obviously, like I said, a bunch of new guys, and you said you were working on fitting into the team. Was there any talk? I mean, as you talked to Bruce Codd, who I think is one of the best coaches around at any level, and you're working with him as the defensive unit. Was there much talk of how your game would fit in with the team and what you needed to, any adjustments you needed to make, or things they might adjust for you, or how did that meshing go as you joined the team and then come through the season?
Yeah, I think it was definitely a learning process for me. Just getting to know the system. Like in a lot of ways, you think lacrosse is just going to be lacrosse wherever you go and play. And I had experience playing for Matt Sawyer before in Oakville, and I figured I was just going to come over and everything's going to gel just fine. But I think really the first couple games of the season were sort of a wake up call for me, and it did take a little bit of getting used to some of the things that I guess Bruce was expecting, and then just some of the ways that he expects us to sort of play differently based on who we are on the floor with, and to sort of understand what individual guys are going to do in their own preferences. So I think sort of nailing down what to expect play to play from my teammates really helped me anticipate plays a lot better, and that's been something that I've been focusing on getting better each game this year.
One of the key aspects of your game, I think, throughout your career has been, playing with an edge, playing close to the edge. And, there's obviously any time you're playing and with the gritty style that you play, there's going to be times where you take some penalties that you don't necessarily want to take, but it's always a matter of finding that line, right? And has that changed much with Toronto, or is it just basically playing your same game and being tough, being smart, and trying to contribute in every way you can?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I like to play a physical game, and I think that's something that was expected of me when I was coming over here, and it is something that I try and do. I think I have tried to tone down when I am taking penalties, and I managed to have done this weekend and other times this year. Just try to avoid any of the stupid stuff while still being able to get in other guys' faces and stuff, and keep them on their toes a little bit.
It's challenging, right? Because you want, like you said, you want to play physically, you want to play with that edge. And there are times you're going to take, and there are certain penalties that nobody minds you taking, that nobody minds a defender taking, because it arises from just playing a physical game. But when you get out there, how hard is it to just kind of think about that? Like you said, you're trying to think about, not taking some of the penalties, and I don't mean to focus on it too much, because I don't think you hurt the team a lot with penalties, but I know it's something that you think about, and the guys who play your style think about, of how far can I go, and how much can you actually be thinking about that during a game, and how much you just have to let it go and let your instincts take over.
I think I've just gotten more to the point of just trying to let it go, and just not sort of focus on it too much, and then as much as I can just keep my mouth shut around the referees, and don't give them any reason to give me any extra attention that I'm already getting. I think that helps me keep things a little bit more even keel.
Very wise words. The other thing I'm wondering about is with positioning, you guys have clinched a playoff spot, which obviously is great. Unlikely that you'll catch Buffalo, because you don't control that, because they can just win games and clinch first place. But in the battle for second with you, and I mean, Halifax is right there, Georgia's kind of trailing. How important is it for you guys to get that, to hold on to second place now that you're there, and get a home floor game for the first round of playoffs, especially now with fans back? That's got to feel different. I was there earlier in the season calling one of the games in Hamilton, and it was eerie because it was before the fans were allowed back, and it's got to be very different now that the passionate fan base is back and loud and proud.
Yeah, it's amazing to be back with fans in the stands. I think we played 3 games there where it was silent, and it was kind of a weird feeling, sort of like a preseason type vibe. Having that home floor advantage would be huge for us in the first round there. We play Halifax again. So I guess with Georgia, we split those 2 games, and I think we even tied on the amount of goals for and against. So I'm not sure how that tiebreaker would work, but I think our fate is sort of in our own hands when it comes up to Halifax, with another game against them. So that's going to go a long way to deciding who gets that home floor advantage, and that's something that we're certainly going to be gunning for, and I know that they are too.
I just wanted to ask quickly about your school program, because I think a lot of people are aware, that you came back up to Canada after your degree down south of the border, went to University of Toronto doing the kind of combined PhD MD program. How's the progress in that? How's your research going, and your progress through the 8 years of that very challenging program that you're doing?
So it's a long program overall. So I did 1 year of medical school, which is standard for this program, and then went off to my PhD, and now I'm in my 2nd year of that. So the research stuff is coming along slowly. Progress is made in sort of fits and spurts. I mean, I don't know. I imagine a lot of people wouldn't have necessarily know how science progresses day to day how it works, but there's a lot of failures. So definitely feel a lot of that through the first year and learning new techniques and sort of building all the tools that I need to do my work. And it's been going better and better, I think, with time, and starting to build up hopefully some strong results.
Repeated failure is the pathway to success, right?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. It's great to catch up, and it'll be really exciting to watch down the stretch of the season and see how this all plays out. It's such a battle in the East, especially.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me, and yeah, I'm excited to finish up the season and on to the playoffs.
Hi, this is Jaden with Al Anderson Source for Sports. Excited to tell you that we got all our new lacrosse product in for this upcoming season. Whether you're playing box or field, our lacrosse experts are going to make sure we get you into the right equipment to elevate your game. At Al Anderson Source for Sports, we know our stuff.
Joining me on Lacrosse Link, the general manager and once again co-coach for the time being, co-head coach of the Saskatchewan Rush, Derek Keenan. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Stephen.
We're going to dive right in. I know it was a difficult decision for you, obviously. I'm wondering why you decided you needed to relieve Jeff McComb of his role as head coach, and why was now the right time to do it?
Well, I don't know if there's ever a right time to do something like that, especially when you have the kind of relationship we've had and the success we've had together, and the NLL and even junior, a couple of Minnow Cups together, and we've had probably close to a 20-year relationship going back to, he was my assistant in Anaheim, 3 years in Portland, and now 8 years with the Rush. So not easy. I don't know. I just think we're better than a 4-10 team. I think our talent is better than that. And we're losing too many 1 and 2 goal games with sort of not very good performances, in particular in second halves. Like, played really well for half of games and then just seemed to peter out in second halves. And there could be a number of reasons for that. And believe me, it's not all, in fact, hardly any of it's on Jeff. Like, in the players, my leadership group, I've talked to a lot in the last week, and they've been very accountable. And they feel that it's really on them, and it is. I mean, they haven't performed to the level of their abilities or the expectations. So bottom line is the expectations have not come close to being met for what we think where we should be. And I could have waited till the off season. But we thought pretty confident in Jimmy Quinlan, once he could make the commitment to do the job, that it was the time now to do it, to kind of start anew with 4 games left in the season.
Mm-hmm. And what was it, seeing Jimmy Quinlan being back in the organization for a while, that made you confident that he was ready for that step to be a head coach and ready to take on those responsibilities and lead the team?
I just think he brings a lot of energy to the table. He's a high energy guy. He's well respected. Just like Jeff and Jared, like they work hard. He's diligent, very detailed guy, and again, not an easy decision because, like I said, Jeff McComb's an excellent coach. It's just the situation was probably really difficult for him following me, and with largely the same group of guys, and for whatever reason that they weren't getting the message, and so I just felt we needed a different voice for the remainder of these 4 games and then into next season.
I really felt watching you guys play and seeing, like you're talking about, the close games, the just coming up short in games that for years have been the games that you guys have had the presence to close out, to finish really strong when they were close games. And I had Chris Corbeil on a while ago, and he pointed out, a lot of games we weren't even in that situation. We're up by 3 or 4 goals and didn't face those kind of challenges, but it just wasn't quite clicking. But it felt like it was so close, and I kept expecting things to turn a corner. Did you feel the same way? Like every week, it was just like, this is the week.
100%. Like I felt that since the very beginning of the season. We lost the game in Halifax. We really kind of won. It was not a very good call on an overturned goal that we scored in overtime, and it kind of just went down from there. Where we lost a really close home opener where Christian Del Bianco stood on his head, and just it was game after game the same thing. And I really thought, you know what, like we're right there. We can turn this around. And you look at statistically, we're first in the league in shots allowed on goal. We're second in the league in shots for. So we should be better than 4 and 10. And we should be better in second halves than we've been. And that's been the biggest thing. We've had really good starts to games. I think we had one bad half, which was really one quarter in Vancouver where we got blown out. The second quarter we were bad. But other than that, first halves we've been good. So, just thought that what are the halftime adjustments? What are the in-game adjustments that we need to make to get to win those games? I mean, to get the big goal, to get the big defensive stop, we haven't been able to do that. So, even go back to the Calgary game where we weren't very good, and obviously in the third quarter we had some discipline issues, but then we got back in it. In under 5 we had a power play, and we weren't very good in the power play, and that's just kind of one of those things that key part of the game, you got to be better than that. And again, that's not Jeff's fault. That's on the players, and probably a lot on me in terms of maybe overestimating our talent a little bit, but not to the degree where we're 4 and 10. I think, and the really hard part for me to swallow is, I think our division is completely up for grabs.
Yeah.
Like I don't see any one team that's running away with anything, or I think the East this year, for whatever reason, is a little bit stronger division. And so if we were in the mix, we'd have a good chance to win. Because as you know, in the NLL playoffs, anything can happen. I've been, with teams and the GM and head coach of teams that didn't have great regular seasons, but went to finals, went to championships. And it's frustrating that it was kind of there, but we just didn't get there. I mean, we're alive, but we're kind of on life support. We certainly, and that's our own fault, because we had ample opportunity to get back in this, and with help from other teams, and we just didn't get the job done ourselves. So that's been frustrating too, because I think reality is we're probably should be an 8 and 6 or 9 and 5 or even 7 and 7, where we're right in the mix, but we're in pretty deep at 4 and 10, and I just felt that we're better than a 4 and 10 team.
And I mean, like you said, at 4 and 10, you still have a shot. It's a long shot, but there is still a chance. You're not mathematically eliminated. And again, you look at the schedule down the stretch, there's no game you can't win. You could, still have a run at it, but what's the message given that situation going into these last 4 games?
Yeah, I mean, the plan is we're going to try and win every game. There's no tank in our team. It's not in our vocabulary. We're going to try and win every game and see what happens. And if we break the hearts of some other teams along the way and we don't get in, then so be it. But we're going to try and win every game. And it starts with 1, and it's this weekend against Vancouver, and we'll go from there.
And how's Florida?
It's nice. It's coming to an end tomorrow, though. So back to reality. Yeah.
You'll be back. You'll be back in the much colder weather by the time the show airs. We were talking about it before we went on, and I had to scrape the windows of the car today when we were heading into town. And I'm sure you haven't been doing much scraping of anything.
No, it's been 29, but apparently it's going to be warmer in Saskatoon than in Ontario this weekend. So that's good news.
There you go. Well, that will hopefully drift east and we'll get
It
back.
usually does, yeah.
Yeah, we could use the end of winter for sure. Thanks so much for taking the time to come on. It's always great to catch up, and look forward to
All right.
seeing you in a rink as soon as we can.
All right, thanks, Stephen. Take care.
Hey, we have reached the Rundown Lacrosse friends. Lots of things to share with you from the world of lacrosse. We're going to start in the Arena Lacrosse League East, where John St. John has won his third straight scoring title in the league, which is pretty cool. It was quite a battle in the final game of the season for St. John and his Oshawa Outlaws against Aaron Woods and the Peterborough Timbermen, as St. John and Woods were tied atop the scoring race entering that game. Aaron Woods had 5 goals in the game. John St. John had 2 goals and 5 assists to wind up winning the scoring race by 2. And Luke Laskowitz, actually from Oshawa, was 2 points behind them both entering. He also had 5 points in the game. So it was quite a race going down to the wire in a 1-goal, 13-12 Oshawa win. The playoffs start this weekend at Brampton's Memorial Arena, so you should go check it out. You can check out the whole schedule at arenalacrosseleague.ca. Another piece of lacrosse internationally, the E-Box and She-Box schedule is out. We'll put up the schedule briefly on the screen, but you can check it out on their Facebook page. And it's pretty cool getting back after not having been able to do it for a couple of years. There are 10 men's national teams competing at the E-Box. It is a great prep for them in Radoteen, especially this year because the European Box Championships are being held in Hanover, Germany in July, August. So a big year for the European box lacrosse nations. They're also in the first She-Box. There are 5 women's teams taking part. It's a mix of club teams, national teams, some conglomerate teams. And this is the first She-Box. It was supposed to start in 2020, of course. That one didn't happen. So really excited to see what Brian Whitmer has done organizing this event and to see some of those games. I'm stoked to be heading over shortly, in a couple of weeks, to Prague, to Radoteen, to check out that tournament. And the following week, the Alice Rabeski Memorial, which is honestly one of the best experiences you can have in the world of lacrosse. I encourage you to get there if you ever are able to. You can also check out all the games from both tournaments, all 3 tournaments, on the LCC Radoteen YouTube channel. So go and check that out. Of course, big news in the National Lacrosse League is the chase for the championship. The playoff hunt is well underway at this point with 4 weeks left in the season. It is going to be fascinating to see what happens. I'll tell you, Buffalo and Toronto have clinched spots in the East. Halifax and Georgia in the East, San Diego and Colorado in the West have 8+ wins already, and I would say they're in good shape for playoff berths, probably all likely to qualify for the postseason. So that's 4 teams in the East, 2 in the West. That leaves 2 openings, one for the 3rd place West Division team and 1 wild card for the team with the next best record among the rest of the teams in the West and the East. For those 2 spots, here are the leading contenders for them as of right now going into week 19. Calgary is at 6-7. Panther City is 6-8. Vancouver is 6-9 in the West. In the East, Philadelphia is at 7-8. Albany is at 7-9. So one of those teams is going to get in from the West as the 3rd team. Right now, the 2 Eastern teams have an edge on the other 2 Western teams for that wild card spot. I think 9 wins should do the trick. Someone could make it through with 8, but it's looking a little dicey. It looked like for much of the season, 8 wins may do it. Somebody might get in. But it looks like to me a couple of those teams will get to 9 most likely. A lot of teams, of course, playing each other. There are going to be some great head-to-head matchups for those playoff battles. So keep an eye on that. And we're going to wrap up the rundown this week with a tough one. Very hard one for me. Neil Stevens passed away on April 1st. He had 74 years of age. He is one of only 2 writers, journalists who have been honored by the National Lacrosse League Hall of Fame. Brian Lemon, the NLL's VP of Operations, put out a note on the NLL Twitter saying Neil Stevens was as much a Hall of Fame person as he was a journalist. He left an indelible imprint across sport in North America, especially for the NLL, where he was one of our most dedicated supporters throughout his career. For me personally, Neil was the person I tried to emulate as a writer about the game of lacrosse. He was so good at crafting stories and doing it on deadline, covering the game at many levels for the Canadian press and other outlets. Also one of the funniest people I know. He, right to the end, he kept his sense of humor. One of the last emails he sent to me, he told me about his diagnosis with stage 4 colon cancer. In my reply, I asked, is there anything anybody can do? I'm sure, I can get the word out, and I'm sure there are lots of people in the game who would want to help Neil, a lot of people. His reply was very typical, self-deprecating Neil. He said, no help needed, although if my wife gets any more tired of me hanging around the house all day and night, she might be the one needing help. Neil had a bunch of little solar hula girl figurines that he would take pictures of in various settings, and he would send the emails out. I went through, I got about 250 of them from him because I got myself on the Solar Hula Girl mailing list. He would put them in various settings, take pictures. It was always a delight to get them. I was so honored to be part of the series. He took a picture of me with a Solar Hula Girl on the desk in front of my broadcast location of the 2015 World Indoor Lacrosse Championships in Onondaga, and it was so cool to be part of it. He also would send lovely pictures of Ipperwash sunsets from his home on the shores of Lake Huron. I'm going to miss those emails. I'm going to miss talking to Neil at games. I'll tell you, sitting beside him in press row was one of the best things about covering lacrosse. And being in an interview scrum with him post-game and hearing how he would interview players, the questions, the way that he would craft things, it was like attending a master class in journalism. So rest in peace, my friend. Okay, made it. That's it. That's the show this week. Thank you for being with us, lacrosse friends. And please do follow me on Twitter. It's @StampLax. Check out lacrosselink.com. Check out all the episodes. You can go back and watch previous episodes on Lax Sports Network in the archive trays and on the Lacrosse Link YouTube page or Facebook page. Thanks to Derek Keenan, to Mitch de Snoo for being with us this week, and thanks to you, lacrosse friends, for being part of the Lacrosse Link family. Lacrosse Link, your link to all things lacrosse.